Okay, everybody. Johnny Jet Rod is back again. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the globalization of healthcare, and the only thing that's standing between us and the globalization of this healthcare are patriots and possibly the fact that we're going to go ahead and expose the real agenda that's behind our government, the globalist empire, the UN, and technocrats that choose to push their influence over our lives with the globalization implementation of Agenda 2030 in the name of global sustainability. And it really all boils down to population control, control over everything in your life, compartmentalizing in a government entity your health care, your food supply, your money, everything. But we're going to cover just healthcare today. Now let's think about, I said something earlier in the podcast earlier that I did about Chelsea Clinton and the book that she wrote. If you look it up, you can find it. It's called Global Health, Who Runs the World and Why. Okay, Chelsea Clinton, right? And so she's basically putting it out there. You see these globalist elite technocrats and people that want to run our life, they're not even trying to hide it anymore, are they? They're letting you know what's going on. Just like the other day, the Democrats popped out there and said that they were possibly going to introduce a compromise, is what they called it, a compromise with the Republicans and introduce single-payer health care in the name of a compromise. But it's not really a compromise at all, is it, America? Not if you're awake. Not if you're red-pilled. Not if you know what's really going down. Not if you're aware of the globalization plan, the UN control, the unelected officials who continue to push these things upon our life, the Global Health Organization, the World Health Organization, Monsanto, big pharmaceutical companies, coming up with this stuff that's linked to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and all kinds of crazy stuff. And insecticides are putting in food, causing cancers, and just all kinds of craziness happening with healthcare. But we're currently in a debate over how we're going to run it because Obamacare is failing. It was meant to fail. It was wrote in a way that was apparently, by some experts' opinion, apparently was supposed to completely collapse in 2018. Well. It does not surprise me, ladies and gentlemen. It does not surprise me. You know who wrote that plan? A globalist empire elite group of people who worked for insurance companies that were not in America, that were connected to the UN and the Bilderberg members. That's right. That's right. I bet you didn't know that, did you? Nope. That's just like saying Chelsea Clinton's uncle Uh, you know, I mean, let's go ahead and think about healthcare for a minute. I don't even want to get off into Chelsea Clinton being related to George Soros because we all know that anyway. I don't want to go down through that family line history. I mean, we all know that Chelsea Clinton's related to George Soros through his second cousin. And it's just, I mean, come on now, people. We know who these people are. If you know and you're awake, you know who these government people are. You know that they are enemies of the state. And right now, they're playing uh, who's the better juggler with your health insurance on the Senate floor. They write a, think about it now, think about it. If you stand way back and think about it, they never really had a plan to do anything with this. Everything that they've come up with, everybody else disagreed with. They were all colluding with each other, saying, okay, you guys come up with this first, and we'll come up with that, and we'll say we don't want that, and put it back over on your desk, and then you send it over here, and then we'll come up with some kind of deal where we could just vote on whether we want to debate the issue, and then when we decide we want to debate the issue, we'll go ahead and do that for a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, and not come up with nothing. And then when we do come up with something, it'll be a little skinny bill, just barely take away a few of the things out of the original Obamacare, and it'll still fail anyway. And when it does fail, we'll go ahead and let the Democrats introduce single-payer insurance. And that's what it's going to be, ladies and gentlemen. If you are not aware that the Republicans and the Democrats say that they're against each other, they say that they're not able to work out their differences. One says this, one says that. The truth is, they're all working together. The globalist elite want to take over your health care in the name of global sustainability. And it's a horrible day because, we're being duped into believing that they want to do the right thing for us. And we're being duped into believing that a global, an American healthcare system put together by our government will be the right thing to do. And eventually, it's going to end up being a worldwide healthcare system, taxed, and it's going to have death panels, mandatory vaccinations, massive increases in the pharmaceuticals, because the increase in the pharmaceuticals will cause the cost to go up, and the cost will go up, and it'll skyrocket. And then eventually, the only people who can afford medication will be the elites, the rich, and the government employees. That's it. Your average, everyday American under the single-payer program will pay a very high tax and have access to free basic health care. You're going to get free basic health care, basic eye care, basic dental care. They're going to pull a tooth if it's rotten. They're going to give you a filling if you need it. They'll give you some glasses out of the dollar store, basically. They'll treat an infection with some antibiotics, give you your vaccinations, and save your life if you need it, if they deem it necessary. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have miles and miles of red tape, of authorization after authorization after authorization requests, and all these investigations into the implementation of the desired procedure and the required paperwork that goes along with it will be the request for services and the reason for it, and is it necessary, and why do we need it, and all this other stuff, and you'll end up in line for months and weeks and days and years. And they will eventually have so much control over your health care, which is what they want. They want to be able to control the health care, because you see, when you control the health care, you control the population. And when you control the population, you control the world. They've already got their hands in the food system. Follow the money. You will find that basically 3 organizations run the entire world food source. It's true. It's true. I know the information, people. I've got the information right here on this paperwork right here. I've got the information. I know. I do my research. I've got it. The globalist elite are out to take you for a ride. They're going to dupe you, people. If you're not aware of what's really fixing to go down in the next year or 2, then you have not done your research. They're hoping you got a short memory. They're hoping you're not awake. They're hoping you don't really realize that they're taking you for a ride. America, you're about to be under the greatest deception that we've ever had take place. And the Republicans are in on it, and the Democrats are in on it. Both sides are in on it. And it's part of a globalist, elite, global sustainability implementation of the technocrats' involvement into the everyday activities and surplus and supply of healthcare, food, money, housing, transportation, and birth rates, and death rates. They're going to control everything, people, because they see you and I as someone who is not capable of controlling their own life or making good decisions. And the good decisions they want you to make are completely contrary to what they want for the world. I will refer you to the Georgia Guidestones, to Agenda 2030, to Agenda 21, to Jade Helm, Mastering the Human Domain, to all these implementation programs that they're documented. It's on paper. It's unclassified. It's blatant in your face. We're doing this to you and you don't have a choice. America, you're about to be deceived in the next couple of years. Just watch this play out. Just watch it play out. And then in a year or 2, we'll have this same discussion. And I'll say, Johnny Jetrod was right. One more time. I hope you enjoyed this program. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. My name is Johnny Jetrod. Thank you, America.